Hey guys, it's Ross going on the Space Coach. So, continuing going through all of my aviation books, we're going to have a look at this. The Boeing, let's move it over here. The Boeing 757 and 767 in the Modern Civil Aircraft Series number 6 by Philip Birtles. And there you just see on the back the 200 in the old Boeing house colours, and there you see under construction. I started having a read of this last night. The 80s BA livery, although obviously it was originally delivered in 70s livery. It's a nice one of the two of them in formation. Obviously the 767 and 757 they were launched at the same time. The 76 was the one that went into service first, and it had loads of different iterations. 4 engines, 3 engines, T-tail, 2 engines under the wing, 2 at the back. The 100 767 and the 500 747 were delivered at the same time for ANSA and KLM. There. This is what the 777 was going to be, with a tail engine and a high mounted tail. That design was later scrapped, of course. That was not the 777 that we got. There you see the BA 757 in the old Arthur Negus livery. They ordered theirs at the same time as Eastern Airlines, and they were the launch customer, joint launch customer for the 757. And there you see another iteration here with the T-tail, which was only dropped a few weeks before it was actually launched. And there you see in a lower airline 757. Again, obviously they never took delivery of that plane. Then it's just some about the Designand Development of the 76. So let's move up there, so you can see like the diagrams. I think they might still have been using diagrams at this point, then just more rather than computer aided design. Or that was probably starting to come into it. This just be the static rig. There's a cockpit. A breakdown of the various partners, I suppose. Like say, X comes from Italy, Y comes from Japan, engines come from UK, that sort of thing. Yeah, Air Italia and the Civil Transport Development Corporation of Japan. There is taking its maiden flight. That was 26 September 1981. That's nearly 40 years ago now. There's just some more drawings. 757 Designand Development. Such an elegant looking plane, but I have to admit I was very disappointed when I flew in it, because on BA they chopped that long body up into about 6 or 7 mini cabins, and you couldn't get a sense for how big the plane was. There it is taking its maiden flight and roll out. There it is flying over Seattle. It's very attractive, that Boeing house livery. There it is, I assume, coming back from its maiden flight. Now, 767 sales and service entry. So we see American, Delta, United, all of whom, certainly up to current events, were still operating. I think all the 200s were out of service, but certainly 300s and 300 ERs, but a lot of them have now been grounded, if not all of them. It's more. Air Canada, All Nippon, ANSA, and this is an interesting one. Braathens Safe. I think they're still around, or they're part of SES now or something. They ordered a couple of 767s, I guess for their holiday routes like the Mediterranean and stuff. Couldn't fill the plane, so they got rid of them after a very short time. Trans-Brazil did indeed operate the 767. There is your proof right there. Avianca Colombia and Ethiopian Airlines in that attractive livery they had in the 80s. And there's a Delta plane. There's Qantas, and there's just some interior shots of the type of service you get, and there's a cockpit. The first class cabin of the Qantas 767 features 6 abreast twin aisle seating, so 222 for first class. Now it's usually either a 121 or a 111. Air New Zealand, they had a bunch of 767s. Kuwait Airways, I had a handful, and I try to think if it was either destroyed during the Gulf War or was sold off afterwards or something. And there's the JAL. I think that might be their first 300. No, it was the 200, sorry. CAC, as it was then, now Air China, Land Chile. They were ordering 767s right up to the last couple of years because they were quite cheap. And 767 freighters are still being built. We've seen the Taka 767 in one of the John K. Morton books recently with the 737-200. Now, 767 service, there's Britannia. If you were going to Florida on holiday in the 80s and 90s, chances were you went on that. And there's the Eastern Airlines 757, and there's Britannia at its hangar. British Airways has been repainted into the Landor scheme that superseded in the early 80s, and there's Delta, is very attractive in that livery, and there it is again there. Europe, they had a couple, but obviously went bust. LTS, I'm sure they were the Spanish subsidiary of LTU or LTE, I can never remember. And there is Northwest Orient 757. They had a big fleet of them as well. Royal Brunei, that might have been like one of the only combis or something, or was that Royal Nepal? I can't remember. .757 in service, so there you see Monarch. What's that in the background? That's a Northwest. Garuda 747, and that's a Northwest Orient 747. It's interesting seeing the planes in the background in this sometimes. There's another Monarch 757. And just a bit about the engines. Was it Pratt & Whitney and Rolls-Royce? The CF6-80C2, the Pratt & Whitney JT9D-790, and I'm sure it's the RB211 or a version of that for the 757. Yeah, the RB211-535C and the PW2037. So Pratt & Whitney for Delta, Rolls-Royce for Eastern and United. Eastern and BA, sorry. Oceanic Twins, a couple of very nice shots of TWA 767s, and you see a DC-10 of American in the background there as well. Obviously, these were the planes that really pushed the whole ETOPS thing, them and the A310. El Al, they operated some very long flights with theirs, and I assume Qantas did too. Brisbane to Tokyo was their longest route. And for El Al, it was from Montreal to Tel Aviv. The developments, the 300. Delta's 300. And there is the house livery. .757 PF, the package freighter, there's been a bunch of them, but a lot of these planes have also been converted into freighters. Same with the 767. And we see the appendices. With a lineup of, are they all 767s there? I think they are. Delta, United, and Prototype. Yeah, that's the 5 757s that was used in the testing program. And then it just says Boeing 757 orders to end of 1986 and Boeing 76 orders to end of 1986. So that's fascinating. The biggest customer was Delta at that point, was 60. And then it was Northwest with 30. Eastern 27, BA 25, United Parcel Services 20. No American Airlines. Northwest, yeah, they had 30. The 767, let's see, what was the biggest ones? 19 for United, 30 for American, 15 plus 9 300s for Delta. For All Nippon, 25 plus 15 300s. They were the biggest fleets at the time. So fascinating. Just that little blast from past. That plane no longer in service. It's still in service at a very low rate because it's very cheap as a freighter, especially at the time of low fuel prices. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little blast from the past and the design, development, sales, service entry, and all of that of the Boeing 757 and 767. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for a common topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.